Hello everybody, this is Dexter Kendrick. I'd like to welcome you all back to Dexter Kendrick Soul right here on YouTube, your place for relevant astrological advice and some really dope soul music. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dexter Kendrick Soul here on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook at Dexter Kendrick Soul, on Instagram at Dexter Kendrick Soul, and on Twitter at DKendrick Soul, so you can stay up to date with the most relevant information about life right here on Earth as the world turns. Today's conversation, I have just enough time to tell you about the new moon that's coming up this Saturday in Gemini. It'll be in 29, let me see. Anyway, the new moon this Saturday will be at 14 degrees Gemini, and it's very interesting. This month is a very interesting month. This new moon is a dynamic new moon. Very briefly, the moon, wherever the moon is in the sky, kind of represents the vibration of the day. You know how somebody can say you got up on the wrong side of the bed? Well, typically that means that the moon is in a sign that is probably not so compatible with your own, and so the vibration is just kind of off kilter. Depending on how you feel today, like me, I'm feeling really good, and today is Wednesday. The moon is in Taurus. My sun is in Capricorn, so it's a harmonious aspect. I was singing all morning. All the vibrations of Venus are in today, and so the moon is showcasing herself through Taurus. But on Saturday, the new moon is going to be in Gemini, and whenever the moon is new, it represents a time when we look up in the sky and we can't see the moon. So it represents a time when our self-interest and our emotional energy is hidden. It's hidden from the outside world. So there's a lot going on internally, and it really represents the kickoff of the monthly movement. This month is going to be very interesting because there's something interesting coming up on the 20th called a blue moon. On the 20th, and we'll talk more about that on the 20th and probably closer to the 20th now that I'm doing these horoscopes weekly. But on the 20th, there'll be a full moon at 29 degrees Sagittarius. Last month, we just had a full moon in Sagittarius. Whenever we have two full moons back to back in the same sign, we call it a blue moon. In several magical circles, it's an opportunity for us to actually begin to create something out of our imagination that we would rarely happen, may have never happened under different circumstances. In the sign of Sagittarius, and we'll talk about this later, but you can think about the term and phrase once in a blue moon. So it's a time when we're going to be able to send our wishes forward. On Saturday is really the kickoff. It's a dynamic new moon, which means that while the outside world may not see what we're doing, there's a lot of work that we're each doing behind the scenes with ideas. We remember that Mars is currently retrograde in Scorpio. We've taken our energy back from the outside world. We're beginning to work on cleaning up unfinished business because the last full moon in Sagittarius gave us a vision. We had been working on a vision for where we saw ourselves in the next 5 to 10 years, and now this new moon is planting seeds for those ideas, right? And of course, the new moon represents what we do behind the scenes, the seeds that we plant, what's growing beneath the soil, and the full moon represents when we give birth to something. Of course, this full moon, we're going to be giving birth to something that is very, 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 very lucky. So the once in a blue moon aspect is that we begin to plant seeds in some direction, and then wherever it shows up, because it's going to be in Sagittarius, the sign of long distance travel of mind and body, and also of prophetic visions, whatever it is that we are interested in moving in, the direction we're interested in moving in, doors are going to be opening ridiculously. So we can begin to set our intention in that direction if we'd like to. Also, because this new moon is making some very dynamic aspects to the other mutable signs, the other versatile signs in the zodiac, which are Sagittarius. It's going to be opposed Saturn in Sagittarius. Ever since 2014, we've been doing some significant work in editing those things out of our lives that are no longer necessary for our forward movement, giving ourselves permission to mature in certain ways, having some painful experiences that really demand our attention so that we can begin to strengthen and prepare ourselves for the next level. Some people and circumstances will not be able to go with us, but we're beginning to get the hang of it. Right now, Saturn is also retrograde, which means that we're not having restrictions imposed on us in the outside world, at least not until later in August when the sun gets into Virgo, but we are holding on to and strengthening the restrictions that we've given ourselves so that we can grow. We're leaving an old vessel and beginning to grow. You can think of the Grim Reaper who has the scythe and cuts off that which we don't need. And so sometimes that's circumstances and people, but we're beginning to move with that. The new moon represents how we're secretly cutting off people and circumstances without them even knowing it. And so it's not like a malicious thing. It's more like, I don't really need to give a press release that I'm moving away from this circumstance that's not helping me get to the next level. And I'm letting go of the circumstances helping me get to the next level. The new moon is all about what happens behind the scenes, what happens in the dark. Because, you know, ancient peoples lived by cycles of the moon. At night, you would have to burn a fire under a new moon because there was no full moon to let you know what predators and other dangerous aspects were out in the wilderness when we were a primitive people. Nonetheless, the new moon is still psychologically representing those things we hold very close and dear because it's not quite time to reveal them yet. The full moon will be giving us all of that burst forward. 2 full moons in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, the beneficial, luck-giving planet, which has been traveling through Virgo since last year and will be there until September. This September is going to move into Libra. We'll talk about that a little later. But right now it's in Virgo. So what we've been doing is taking our skills and our talents and beginning to say, how can we derive more from them? How can we go further than we've gone before and see where that goes? Of course, this new moon is making a 90-degree aspect, which always represents friction in a good way, in this way, because Jupiter always represents a beneficial aspect. But what it means is that we're going to have to step up to the plate. A 90-degree aspect means we can't sit still. It means that people and circumstances are going to force us to prove ourselves and make necessary changes. Take a look at where Gemini lies in your chart. Go to alabe.com, or you can hit me up on Dexter Kendrick Soul on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can message me. I'm available for private practice readings as well. I'm also a psychic medium if that is something that is interesting to you. Lastly, so we have Gemini making an aspect to Saturn, cutting off that which we don't need anymore. Even though we're not giving a press release about it, people don't need to know what we're doing behind the scenes. They'll find out soon enough. And then we also have Gemini making an interesting aspect to Jupiter in Virgo, where we're preparing ourselves. We're getting our ducks in a row so that we can begin to receive the new abundance that is coming to us around the 20th and thereafter, because we're beginning to shape up our lives for the next 5 to 10 years. And then lastly, just opposite Virgo, in Pisces, we have another 90-degree angle, which is another challenge to our functioning and challenge to growth, and that's Neptune, the planet of surrender, which represents basically wherever Neptune is placed in our chart is an area of life where we meet God, an area of life where we begin to let go and things begin to happen for us by allowing life to take care of us. It also represents, if you could think of Neptune as wherever Neptune is placed in your chart, and some people have challenges with Neptune because it works against the ego. There's no striving in whatever sign Neptune is located in, because if you strive, you'll begin to lose it. For example, take a person who has fallen overboard on a ship. If you are trapped in the ocean, if you begin to try and tread water to stay afloat, you will burn out of energy and eventually drown. What you have to do then is you have to lie on your back and do what they call the dead man's float. That's the only way you will survive if you don't have a life jacket on. Wherever Neptune is located in our chart is an area where we have to just float. We have to allow life to take care of itself. We'll still do what we need to do. We'll still look for signs and clues, but God doesn't need any help in this area of our life. Take a look at where Pisces lies, because Neptune is currently at home in Pisces in some area of your life. Take a look at what house Pisces and the Neptune is lying in right now, because right now Neptune is going retrograde. He's beginning to go backward. We're going to talk about him next week a little bit more. He's beginning to go backward, which means that those areas of life where we're having to give up, surrender, and so forth are beginning to come inward. So we're going to go inward to create more of what we'd like to see manifest, and we're going to begin to integrate those lessons that God is preparing for us. Also, whatever you call God, Allah, Buddha, whatever. Just know that I'm using the word God very, very flexibly. Whatever you call the creative intelligence of the universe. And then lastly, I'd like to just say, wherever Neptune is placed, and this is what you're going to begin to see, are the areas. Neptune rules glamour. How people's perceptions are their reality of us. So wherever Neptune is placed in our chart, are aspects of our personality and functioning that people experience God in our presence. So if you have Neptune in the 10th house, people begin to view you as somebody who is successful, who is ambitious, somebody who has everything that they want and desire because they work hard to get it. They are structured and they go for it. If you have Neptune in the 2nd house, people see you as wealthy, as having a strong self-esteem, and as being able to help people feel more stable. Otherwise, you may not have a dollar in your bank account, but if Neptune is there, other people perceive that about you. Take a look at where Neptune lies. Definitely reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, Dexter Kendrick Soul. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dexter Kendrick Soul for more information on the universe, the heavens, as the world turns. I'll be back next week with a conversation, I believe, on Neptune, but don't hold me to that. Neptune is a slippery individual. We'll see. Just tune in next week, all right? Be good. Thank you.